So I've been playing around with ChatGPT for a little bit, and I thought it'd be good to ask it some gambling questions. Can this AI-fueled chatbot accurately answer the most common gambling questions? Let's find out today on Jackace. What up, donkeys? Jackace here with Jackace.com, where I talk about my three favorite topics: gambling, crypto, and STEM. And today we're going to see how this popular chatbot is answering both simple and complicated questions about gambling. If you don't know what ChatGPT is, it's a chatbot powered by artificial intelligence that can craft extremely detailed and highly accurate responses for most questions. This means it can provide us with really detailed and insightful answers to just about any topic we can think of, including gambling. So let's get to the questions. Is the martingale system a valid way of beating the casino game of roulette? Here's their response. No, the martingale system is not a valid way of beating the casino game of roulette. And in fact, no betting system can guarantee consistent profits in roulette or any other casino game with a negative expected value. That's true, you can't beat any casino game or any game with a negative expected value by using martingale. Martingale is just going to prolong your losses and delay your losses and compound them into something that's much larger. The idea behind martingale is that since the odds of winning or losing in each spin of the roulette wheel are close to 50-50, that's not true for every roulette bet, but I think they're just talking about the even money bets. You are bound to eventually win and can recover all your losses and make a profit when you do. You are bound to win eventually, yes, if you have infinite money and if the casino has no house limits, no table limits. So that's partially true. And they continue, however, this reasoning is flawed because each spin of the roulette wheel is an independent event with its own set of odds, and previous outcomes have no bearing on future outcomes. They are independent events. They don't have their own set of odds. I don't know what that means. Each spin has the same odds. But let's continue. This means that a long losing streak can quickly wipe out your entire bankroll, even if you are using the martingale system, and that's very true. Additionally, roulette tables have maximum betting limits, which I brought up earlier, which means that you may not be able to continue doubling your bets indefinitely. That's very true. When you reach the table's limit, you will not be able to double your bet any further, and any losses you incur at that point will be impossible to recover. I mean, not impossible, but with a single bet, yes. Overall, the martingale system is not a reliable way to beat roulette or any other casino game and should not be used as a betting strategy. That is a little bit debatable. You can use martingale, just know that you're going to lose at some point. It just can't be used to reliably beat the house over time. It's okay to use martingale if you're okay with the idea of going bust when you reach your limits. Instead, it is advisable to approach gambling as a form of entertainment. Very, very true. Set a budget for yourself and play responsibly within your means. I agree with that 100%. And I think that statement is probably more important than everything they said up to that point. So question 2, can you improve your odds of winning a bet on red by waiting for a streak of black numbers in roulette? And their response is, no, waiting for a streak of black numbers in roulette does not improve your odds of winning a bet on red in any way. And I agree with that 100%. Each spin of the roulette wheel is an independent event, and the outcome of one spin has no bearing on the outcome of the next spin, and that is 100% true as well. In other words, the fact that several black numbers have appeared in a row does not make it any more or less likely that the next number will be red. That is true. This phenomenon is known as the gambler's fallacy, which is the mistaken belief that previous outcomes can influence future outcomes. That's true. The gambler's fallacy is a common misconception in gambling, and it is important to understand that each event in gambling is independent and has its own set of odds. I don't know what they mean by own set of odds. The odds are actually the same. Do you have a lower chance of winning the lottery if you pick a sequential combination like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? Their response is, no, picking a sequential combination like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 does not lower your chances of winning the lottery. That is true. Each combination of numbers in a lottery drawing has the same probability of being drawn, regardless of whether the numbers are sequential or not. That is true. If you think of every combination as a serial number, you're just drawing a random serial number. For example, if a lottery requires a player to choose 6 numbers from a pool of 50, the total number of combinations is 50 choose 6, or about 15.3 million. So I've just checked on Wolfram Alpha, and 50 choose 6 is 15.89 million. So their estimation of 50 choose 6 is actually wrong. Each of these combinations has an equal chance of being drawn, including the sequential combinations like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Question 4, is it possible to beat the casino game Baccarat by using card counting? The response is, card counting is not an effective strategy for beating the casino game of Baccarat, as the game uses multiple decks of cards and the cards are shuffled frequently, making it difficult to keep track of the cards. I agree with their conclusion. I don't agree with the premise. I mean, the fact that you use multiple decks and then you shuffle them and you shuffle them frequently really doesn't have that big of an impact. Even if you were to deal down to the last one deck in an 8-deck shoe, I don't think you're going to have much of an advantage unless there's a huge imbalance of cards, one way or another. For example, if you were missing all the odd cards, you would have a high expected value of making money on the tie bet, which I've shown in a different video. But let's continue. In Baccarat, the cards are dealt face down and the player has no control over the cards they receive. I don't know how this is relevant. The game is played with multiple decks of cards, typically 6 to 8 decks, which are shuffled and placed in a shoe. All of this is irrelevant. After each hand, the cards are returned to the shoe and shuffled again, making it difficult to predict which cards will be dealt next. I mean, they're just saying they shuffle the cards. I mean, that's kind of taken as a given. You wouldn't explain this for blackjack. Because the values of the cards are limited to a small range, there are fewer opportunities for card counting to be effective in Baccarat compared to other casino games like blackjack, which uses a single deck of cards and allows the player to make decisions based on the cards they receive. That's a little bit of nonsense. I mean, it doesn't really matter that you have a smaller range of values that you can get to. The big difference in blackjack is that high cards definitely help the player. Low cards definitely help the dealer. And when you have a scarcity of low cards, that is good for the player. When you have a scarcity of high cards, that's bad for the player. There's no clear-cut advantage to removing one card or having more of another rank in Baccarat. So that's the reason why it's not really countable. Is it possible to beat the casino game of roulette by betting on specific sectors of the wheel without using a computer? Let's assume the dealer has a consistent release point of the ball and the wheel spins at a consistent RPM. And the response is, while it is theoretically possible to beat the casino game roulette by betting on specific sectors of the wheel, doing so without the use of a computer or other electronic device is extremely difficult and the likelihood of success is very low. I agree with that 1000%. To successfully bet on specific sectors of the wheel, a player would need to carefully observe the dealer's release points and the wheel's speed, and then make precise predictions about where the ball is likely to land. I mean, they're basically explaining sector betting. This would require a high degree of skill and concentration, and even then, the odds of success would be relatively low. I think they would be extremely low. I don't think the human eye is a good judge for things like the speed of a wheel. Is there something inherently wrong with betting on 36 or more numbers at a time with roulette? Their response is, there is nothing inherently wrong with betting on 36 or more numbers at a time in the game of roulette. That is wrong. If you bet on more than 36 numbers at a time, you're engaging in bet nullification. In fact, betting on a larger number of numbers can sometimes be a strategy to reduce the variance of the game and increase the likelihood of winning smaller payouts more frequently. I agree with that, up to the threshold of betting on 36 numbers at a time. If you bet on 35 numbers at a time, if you bet $100 on the numbers 1 through 35, you're going to win $100 on every spin except when you hit 0 and double 0 if you're playing double 0 and also 36. If you use that betting pattern, you are going to consistently win $100, but you're going to fall down the elevator shaft when you hit that 0, double 0, and 36. But once you bet on 36 numbers in this situation, if you're betting 36 numbers times $100 each, when you win, you're going to win 35 to 1 and you're going to lose 35 bets. So all those bets are going to cancel out when you hit. But if you hit 0, double 0, now you're going to lose everything. You're going to lose all $3,600. So that is not a good strategy. That is the worst strategy. That is something you should never do in roulette. Can a computer random number generator reliably simulate the results of a roulette spin or a craps dice roll? What proof is there that a simulation can mimic the traits of a true random event? And their response is, yes, a computer random number generator, RNG, can reliably simulate the results of a roulette spin or a craps dice roll. That's true. I think most RNGs that are built into most computers or laptop computers or even your phone, those are going to be sufficiently random to simulate something like roulette or craps or anything card-based. And I think most RNGs that are available to most consumers are going to be good enough to simulate any casino table game. So question 8 in blackjack, is it better to split eights or hit them when the dealer is showing a 10? A lot of people don't believe that you should split eights versus a 10. In blackjack, it is generally better to split 8s when the dealer is showing a 10. True. When the dealer has a 10 as their up card, they have a strong starting hand, and the player's chances of winning with a single hand are significantly reduced. It's actually because you're holding a 16, which is the worst starting hand in blackjack, the hand that is most likely to bust, because you're not going to hit a 17, and you need at least a 17 to push the dealer whenever they make a hand. So starting with 2 hands of 8 is usually a defensive move, something that you hope to lose less money instead of making more money. I know that a lot of splits are offensive. If you split aces, you're trying to make more money. If you split 7s versus a 6, you're trying to make more money. But with 8s, a lot of times it's defensive. So by splitting the 8s, the player has a better chance of achieving a winning hand, or at least reducing their losses. That is very true. If the player decides to hit the 8s instead of splitting them, the chances of improving the hand to a winning total of 18 or higher are low. I don't know that that's true. The problem is that you can make an 18, but it won't be good enough. When you split the 8s, you have a chance of getting a 2 or a 3 as your next card and significantly improving that hand. So question 9, is it good to take even money when you have a blackjack and the dealer is showing an ace in blackjack? I don't know why I repeated myself there. Their response, taking even money when you have a blackjack and the dealer is showing an ace in blackjack is not recommended. That is 100% true. When the dealer has an ace as their up card, they are required to offer insurance to the players. Taking insurance is essentially betting that the dealer has a 10 value card as their whole card, which would give them a blackjack. If the dealer has a blackjack, the player wins the insurance bet at 2-to-1 odds, which can help to offset the loss from the main bet. But you're not going to lose the main bet if you have a natural. If the player has a blackjack and takes even money, they are essentially accepting a guaranteed payout at 1-to-1 odds instead of risking a push or potential loss. How could you lose? By declining the insurance bet. You can't lose if you decline the insurance bet. However, by taking even money, the player forfeits the opportunity to win the insurance bet, which has a higher payout and can be a profitable way to play over the long run. I actually don't think that last sentence makes sense. If you take even money, you are taking the insurance bet. You are not forfeiting the opportunity to win the insurance bet. Even money is basically taking insurance when you have a natural. In general, taking even money is not recommended in blackjack, true, as it reduces the potential payout and can negatively impact the player's overall expected return. It will impact their return. Instead, it is generally better to decline insurance and play out the hand according to basic strategy. I mean, you decline insurance, you're not going to play the hand. You already have a blackjack, so there's no basic strategy to follow. You just have the natural and they're going to pay you time and a half. The only strategy is don't play 65 blackjack. Is it possible to influence dice and gain advantage over the casino by rolling them a certain way in the game of craps? Talking about dice setting here. There is a common belief among some players that it is possible to influence the outcome of the dice by rolling them in a certain way in the game of craps. A technique known as dice control or dice setting. Very, very true. They even got the terms right. However, there is no scientific evidence or statistical proof to support this claim. That is also true. At least I have never seen any proof that dice setting can be done or dice control is possible. The outcome of each roll of the dice in craps is determined by random chance, and any attempt to influence the result through controlled rolling is likely to be negligible. I agree with that very much. I think it is possible to influence the dice if you do things like violate some of the rules of craps, like you don't hit the back wall. If you do something like dice sliding or stacking 2 dice on top of each other and getting the bottom one to land flat and stay flat, that is a technique that may have some merit. But if you're hitting the back wall where they have the diamonds, where they have the pyramids, I don't think you can have much influence on what comes up. At least not enough of an effect to gain an advantage over the house. So what do you think of ChatGPT's responses? And what do you think of my critiques of its response? Personally, I think the responses were pretty basic, but were generally true. It wasn't really aware of the pitfalls on betting on more than 35 numbers at a time in roulette, and it basically bastardized most of the betting into just even money bets. But the advice was mostly true and would definitely not mislead someone into thinking that these simple casino games were beatable. Is there a question I should have asked ChatGPT? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, remember to like and subscribe. Always gamble responsibly, never play 65 blackjack, and peace out, donkeys.